everyone, welcome to part 2 of my Making Special Cards series, and I'm making 3 more cards today. So I'm going to start with Antique Linen Distress Oxide and ink up the edges like I did on my previous video, and I'm going to use the Brilliance Galaxy Gold again because those 2 colours go together really lovely. And off camera I have gone and embellished all of the toppers in the kits with Stickles and Spectrum Noir sparkle pen and some clear glaze or Nuvo drops, just to make them look a bit more special. So now I am matting my backing paper onto the card that I inked, and I'm going to mat this scrap strip that I had left over from the previous card and make a border. And that's just going to go down the sort of 2/3 of my card, just to add a bit of interest and a different pattern, because I didn't want the topper to blend into the background as they're the same pattern. And I'm just thinking about my layout here. So I'm adding some lace and I'm thinking about adding ribbon, but I decide not to, I think. I think I'll use that as a bow later on. And I'm just going to attach the ribbon to the panel using double-sided tape that I can hide behind the panel so you don't see it. And I'm going to do that on both sides. Now that's done, I'm going to add some funky foam to the back. And I'm going to use that just to pop it up a little bit. That funky foam I think I got in a big pack from Hobbycraft. I think it was like a teddy bear pack because it had skin tones and browns and greys and blacks in it. And I'm just deciding what to do with my sentiment topper. Now I'm going to put double-sided adhesive on the back and a little bit of funky foam, because the panel that half of the sentiment's going to rest on is already raised up, so I only want to raise up the bit that's not going to be resting on the panel. And here's where I'm considering adding the ribbon, but I decide against it because it would be too heavy at the bottom of the card. So I decide that I'm going to tie a bow, and I'm going to put that at the top instead. So I'm just playing with the configuration again, and now I'm going to mount the topper. And I'm going to do the same thing where I'm only going to put funky foam on the part of the topper that's not going to be on the raised up part. And I do a little bit too much, I'm just trimming it down. And I'm using my T-square ruler to make sure everything's straight. And I forgot to put a bit of double-sided sticky tape on the other side of that funky foam, so I just go and do it there. And now I'm going to add some little gems. And I'm going to put them in the corner where there's a little bit of empty space, but then I decide to match it on the bottom. And I'm just putting it on the points of the topper. I thought that made quite a nice visual triangle to have it in the 2 corners and on the topper. But then I go and ruin that by adding it to the Merry Christmas sentiment. But whatever, you can't have too much bling, right? So I'm just using my Spectrum Noir sparkle pen on the topper. And I'm just checking that everything's straight because that sentiment topper still doesn't look right to me. And I'm going to do the glue dot and a bit of matte medium on the bow, glue dot to hold it in place while it dries. Now I'm moving on to my second card, and I can't decide what topper to use, and I really want to use up my scraps, so I'm just playing around to see if there's a way I can use that up. So like the other card, I'm going to ink up the background, and I'm going to show more of the background on this one, so I ink up about a third, and then the edges where you're going to see around the background paper. And I do the Galaxy Gold, sorry you couldn't see that very well on camera. So then I'm going to use a scrap of background paper, and I'm going to make another little banner type part like the other one, except for a little bit shorter because I haven't got quite as much paper. And then I'm going to cut this little element into a flag in a moment. So I'm just sticking down some of my layers with double-sided tape. But before I do that, I'm going to add this lace. I'm on a mission to use that lace up. It's really pretty, I'm going to miss it when it's gone. But there's no point hoarding this stuff, is there? So I believe I used some funky foam to pop this bit up just for a bit of interest, because I wanted the shadow of the lace just to be, I don't know, just a little extra something really. And I just leave a little edge around that. Oh, now I'm doing the banner piece, and I have a think about different layouts there. I just trim the edge because I put it on wonky. Either that or I cut it wonky to start with, I'm not quite sure. I was using a scrap, so it could have been wonky to start with. I'm such a stickler for using my scraps up. Yeah, I still have so many. Excuse me. So I decide on this configuration, and I'll use this die cut, which is cut out of Crafters Companion Centura Pearl cardstock, and that is a die from the Works, the Make and Create brand. And before I started the video, I'd stamped out a few different elements in Memento ink, and I think that was Toffee Crunch ink I used, and I decided to use this as my topper instead of using one of the toppers because I couldn't find one that fit. And I'm going to turn this into a bauble, but before I do that I'm colouring it in with my Polychromos pencils. And I left the colouring in here just because I thought it'd be nice to watch me colour. I really wish I could colour this fast. So I'm just using some reddish brown colours to colour in the back of my little robin, and I use a slightly lighter brown on the wing just to add some contrast, and I use that for the bottom of his belly as well. And I just coloured in his beak there, and I'm using my blender pen again just to smooth it out. It actually doesn't work very well because I've inked it with the antique linen distress oxide, so it has this like weird effect when I use the blender pen, which you can't really see on camera, but I saw it when I was colouring. So I actually go over with another layer of pencil and that fixes it. So sorry that you have to see me colour this twice, but I thought that it would be good to say how I fixed my, not a mistake, but yeah, fixed it, whatever it was, my new discovery. So I've just coloured in the berries there, and I was showing you the fact that I've die cut it into a circle. I think I'm looking for some embellishments here, and I'm going to put a brad in the middle of a ribbon bow, and I've picked out a few colours, and I try another embellishment but decide it's too much. So I stick down my little banner, and I'm going through these tape rollers like they're going out of fashion. And I just tuck the die cut underneath the banner, but then I go in with a little bit of multi-matte medium on a scrap bit of paper just so that I can get under the delicate bits and stick them down. Now I add my topper, And I'm thinking about adding some bling. And I'm fiddling, tying a bow. Always make sure you cut your ribbon off at an angle because it will stop the ribbon from fraying. And then I just chop off the back of the brad because I couldn't get it to wrap around the way I wanted. And I'm just using a little glue dot to stick that in the middle. And I fiddle with it a little bit longer. Bows are such a funny thing to do. Like, sometimes you tie them and they just work out perfect the first time, but other times you just can't seem to get them right. And I'm adding a few sequins. These are from the range, but don't buy them in the range because I saw these packs of sequins. They come in like a circle packet with like 4 different colours. I saw them in Poundland, which is much cheaper. So have a look in your Poundland and see if you can find the colour that you want in there. I remember they had the pinks and the purples. So I just add some stickles to that one and that's done. And now I'm on to card 3. So I'm inking up the background again in my favourite Distress Oxide, it seems. And I'm going to matte and layer this piece of pattern paper. Yes, I am a Coca-Cola addict. Well, Pepsi addict. So yes, that's my background layer, and I'm going to add this piece of trim, which is a Do Crafts one, and the colour is just perfect. And I couldn't think of another time I'd use this, so I was like, yep, get it used up. Bit more of this ribbon goes onto there, just using double-sided tape. That's my favourite way for adding ribbon because I find that glue seeps through. With organza ribbon, I try not to glue it because there's nowhere to hide the glue behind or the tape. So I tend to tie it around the layer, but I'd rather not do that if I don't have to because it takes up it takes up a lot of ribbon that you're not really going to see. So I decided to create my own topper, and I did that off camera because you've already seen me colour today. And I'm just going to use this frame. I think I got this from Poundland. It was in a pack of 3, and I'm just framing my topper with it using double-sided tape, and I'm going to stick that down onto my background, but I'm going to use a little bit of foam because the ribbon's quite puffed up, so I just want to make it lie flat on my card. And I'm thinking about if I want to add a sentiment or not, so I'm looking for another topper. Bring in some stickers, but they're too big, and I decide to make it more Christmassy. I was going to use these snowflakes, so I trim it so I can tuck it behind the frame, and I use one of those little gems. I got those in Hobbycraft, by the way. They were about 50p, and the pink ones are just perfect for this collection. And I'm cutting up another one because I want 3 snowflakes, but I only have one design, so I'm kind of trying to make a design out of the other ones, I guess. So I chop up one of them and use the centre, to make a second snowflake, and then the little diamond pieces that are on the end of the snowflake, I just arrange them to make them look like another small snowflake that's slightly different. And that kind of does the job for me. And I stick another couple of those gems in the middle. And then I decide that I want to use some of those like rose gold gems. So I just put them on the frame, put a couple in the middle of the top and the bottom bits that stick out. And then there's these like curly bits on the side. I don't really know how to describe it, but I put a couple of gems there too. Just to add a little bit of something and bring in the rose gold colour from the snowflakes that I've added. Then I'm going to add this little bow with glue dot and Multi-Matte Medium again. And there is. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe my video if you enjoyed it. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Bye.